I've worked in the area of labor laws and policies for a while, and also as a practitioner, I've handled a few sexual harassment related cases. I think that the best way we can address the issue of sexual harassment, particularly in the workplace, is to have a policy, an all-embracing policy on sexual harassment and other forms of violence, which will spell out, what the problem is, the various areas in which it occurs, and come up with proposals on how to address it. This will guide the review of the existing laws. We have a few laws which addresses sexual harassment. We have the Labor Act, which has provisions which makes it an unfair termination of employment if a person leaves work, a particular employment, because of repeated acts of sexual harassment. We also have a little bit of it in the Domestic Violence Act. When it comes to domestic workers, they are protected. One of the grounds on which they are protected is when it comes to sexual harassment. Their workplace is the domestic home, so that's the domestic setting. It makes provisions to address it. The Children's Act calls for abuse, the removal of abuse against children, addressing it, particularly children who are in apprenticeship. Also addresses that as well. So basically, there are a number of laws in place, but you will see that the definitions are not very comprehensive enough, etc. Some of the laws are also a little old. Currently, we have the ILO Convention 190, which addresses violence and harassment in the workplace. And it has a lot of lessons that we can learn from and pick from in developing a policy. It has a broader definition of sexual harassment. It looks at the definition to include not just the quid pro quo, you do this for me and I do this, but also the creation of a hostile environment type of sexual harassment. When it comes to the scope, it's very broad. It applies to, it says that when you are defining violence and sexual harassment, you should look at it from the formal and informal sector. You should look at it as it applies to not only workers, both in the formal and informal sector, but volunteers, job applicants, and a wide range of people, and even third parties. These are people who are clients, etc., who sometimes can come and harass people in the workplace. And then in terms of applicability, as I've indicated, both formal and informal, in the rural setting, and then in the public and private sector. So there are lots of lessons we can learn from it in developing a comprehensive policy, and then ensuring that there are adequate remedies and avenues for people who suffer this form of violence.